this week there's been so much talk about your battle over the rating, and I'm curious for you, after seeing it in a theater with a full audience this week, does it feel like that really paid off? That you're glad you pushed for what you did? Just we were screaming.
Good. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the one of the more rewarding experiences of my entire life is getting that image to screen just because um that image was it encapsulates the themes of our film, which is this, the female body being violated from the inside out, mind, body, and
Yeah.
soul. And to have Disney support our team to get a vagina to screen is that's a dream. And it's amazing. And it's also just having getting able to see people's reactions to that image. I was raised by a mother who raised me on Georgia O'Keeffe paintings,
Mm.
so I'm just like thrilled to be able to I haven't seen that in a film before, so I'm really pumped.
And obviously this movie does hit hard. There were a lot of scenes where I was like, "Oh my God, how did they do that? How'd they get away with that?" And how does that feel when you're seeing those like screams coming out of the audience? That these, not even just jump scares, but across the board.
Oh, it's so wonderful to see people react and also to see people react not just to some of the set pieces and like you said, the jump scares, but to see people reacting to Margaret reacting has been one of
Mm,
the most rewarding experiences. And it I think it really speaks to Nell Tiger Free's performance because I think people felt very connected to her in the screenings that we've been in, which is I mean, you can't ask for more than that.
right. I was say I loved her on Servant, so to see her in this movie, I was just like, yes.
No, she's quite literally a tiger.
And for you, coming into this where it is a prequel to a very known, established, IP, did you learn anything by watching other prequels in general, or maybe after watching some of the sequels to this series about, how you wanted to approach this?
Yeah, well, I think we approached the idea skeptically at first
Yeah.
because I work with a creative partner, Tim Smith, who's my co-writer. But we are big Owen fans, so you want to make sure that if there's a prequel, it's bringing something interesting to say. And I really felt like the script was, I think by having this young female lead in a predominantly masculine franchise was a really interesting new approach. And then the way that it dovetailed into the 1976 Omen, I thought was really clever and elegant. And so I totally just lost my train of thought. Tell me your question one more. I'm so sorry.
What did you learn, I guess, from watching other prequels or maybe from the sequels themselves about how you wanted to approach this?
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think something we talked a lot about was what not just what was the Omen trying to say, the original Omen, but what were the films around that era trying to say, and
Mm,
how do we answer back to that and have a conversation with it? So I think something that Tim and I talked a lot about was that all these films we love, like Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, The Omen, people are very obviously terrified of their children and what was happening in that era. You have this counterculture revolution where people are starting to reject authority and tradition and this older generation, and the older generation was probably terrified of these young
yeah,
people, and now it's I think a little bit the opposite. For us,
totally.
young people are terrified of our parents generation, and so that was kind of how we wanted to engage.